This is the Genshin Impact, not Yasuo. This is a world of magic, a world dominated by powerful demons. Humans are becoming increasingly powerful, but facing demons is still difficult to resist. Under external troubles and internal worries, the happy wind man appeared and the gears of fate began to rotate. QQ group number 741380105. You can also add groups directly on the old book side. Pay attention to Chapter 1, This Traveler. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Butching, Tianlan Magic High School, the first day of high school. A young boy walks alone on the campus road, searching for his classroom. Unlike others, most of them are accompanied by family or friends, with the exception of being alone. The lonely boy's name is Li Mingyuan. On the surface, he may seem like a young man with a height of just over 1.7 meters, but in reality, his soul comes from another world. Yes, Li Mingyuan is a traveler. Before crossing over, Li Mingyuan was just a stunned young man who had just graduated from college and entered society, being drugged and beaten. The reason for crossing is also very strange, just because after he received his salary, he gave 1060.48s to Lao Mi in a row, and directly took down a fast-paced 6+5 character in the 3.8 card pool, a scattered soldier. Of course, the 6+5 scattered soldiers are not because of the kitchen, but because of their strength. Before crossing the river, Li Mingyuan was a true strength party, only paying for their strength. And just after finishing the draw, before he could even pull it up to play, Li Mingyuan had already slipped and fell to the ground while using the restroom, becoming a proud member of the army of travelers. And the original owner of this body was also a pitiful person. At the age of 2 or 3, his parents died in battle, and at the age of 10, his only family member, his elder brother, also died in battle. A family of 4, 3 military mages all died in battle. The original owner was momentarily angry and couldn't help but hang himself. When it was discovered, the original owner was already dead, and Li Mingyuan crossed over while the original owner was hanging on it. Any delay discovered by someone is when the original owner, along with Li Mingyuan who has just crossed over, both perish and ascend to the west. Every time he thinks of this, Li Mingyuan feels a bit toothache and TNND. It's so good for him to travel either from a big family to a young one, or to have a system of hanging fire with him. Even if things don't go well, he still has childhood friends by his side. On the other hand, without saying anything, it's just a golden bell that I don't know what I can do or use at this stage. And what's disgusting is that this bell has been hovering in Li Mingyuan's spiritual world. Li Mingyuan can see it, but he can't move it, let alone take it out. It's really useless except for watching. Ah no, not even the viewing effect is impressive. However, Li Mingyuan knew the origin of this bell after the initial suicide. People from the Butching military region would send people back almost every week to provide psychological counseling to Li Mingyuan, fearing that he would have to resort to another suicide. After all, Li Mingyuan's family of 4 and 3 were all military mages who died in battle. If he really commits suicide due to depression, where will the military district face? Li Mingyuan said that these are all concerns, because the previous Li Mingyuan died, he is the new Li Mingyuan, there is no need to seek death. However, Li Mingyuan still hopes that people from the military region can come over. There's nothing else, mainly because he gives a lot of food, drinks, and nutritional supplements, and takes a lot of them every time. If Li Mingyuan doesn't accept them, he can't. Pull it back to the present. Li Mingyuan found his own class on the playground, class 18 of senior high school. Well, it's the same class as Demophan, the son of the world. Tianlan Magic High School, playground. On the playground, there are 20 squares corresponding to the 20 classes of Tianlan Magic High School this year. A 1,500 person stands here to hold the opening ceremony, as well as the awakening ceremony. Classmates, everyone comes here with the same dream, which is to become a great mage. The principal talked a lot of things, which made Li Mingyuan drowsy. To be honest, Li Mingyuan has also heard speeches from leaders in his past life, but he really doesn't have a leader who can talk for 2.5 hours without getting tired. The principal had a long and lengthy conversation, and finally reached what everyone wanted to hear the most. Okay, awakening begins today. I hope you can become the future rising magic stars. As soon as the old principal finished speaking, the students on the playground couldn't contain their inner joy. Magic, this is magic, the extraordinary ability in the extraordinary world, becoming an excellent mage, this is the dream of countless young men and girls. And now, it's their first and possibly my only chance to awaken. I don't know how many children from ordinary families will awaken their magic here and then enter a new class. There are also many children who awaken and fail here, leave aimlessly, and then place their hopes on the next generation. This is even more cruel than Li Mingyuan's previous life's college entrance examination. Losing the exam does not mean losing one's life, but awakening to failure here may truly be a life failure for ordinary children from families. Children who fail to awaken will be ordered to drop out of school. Thinking of heaven and hell, this is the true portrayal of awakening when I first entered high school. Awakening is carried out simultaneously in 20 classes. Li Mingyuan is number 10, and there are 9 people queuing up to wake up. In the process of waiting, Zhao Kun and 3 others sneered at Mo Fan, and Zhang Xiaoho helped Mo Fan to take the lead. Everything was exactly the same as the original work. Then Mubai Magic awakened the ice department, shocked everyone, and everything was exactly the same as the original work. Next, Qiu Yueying. Okay, too sure. Your Stardust has started well, it seems to be inseparable from your previous efforts. Next, Su Qinglin. It's also a cold ice system. Next, Lu Xiaobin. Well, the water system. Ah, my goodness, how could I be a water system? I should be a fire system. Suddenly, the classmate named Lu Xiaobin shouted with a mournful voice. Don't lose heart. It's the same for any type of cultivation. As long as you can reach the mid-level mage level, you will gain more advantages, Shui Mushing said with a hint of sympathy in his eyes, but in a relieved tone. The water system is really abandoned in small places like Bo City. Most people who awaken to the water system are basically sentenced to death, and it has nothing to do with powerful mages. Next. 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 Next, Li Mingyuan. Soon, Shui Mushing clicked on Li Mingyuan. When Li Mingyuan walked up to the awakening stone, Shui Mushing also stood beside him and patted Li Mingyuan's shoulder, saying, Li Mingyuan, your parents used to be mages, and your brother was even a mid-level mage before he sacrificed. Judging from the probability, it is highly likely that you will also be able to awaken successfully. It is uncertain whether you will be under your brother in the future. Shui Mushing used to be a soldier and knew more about Li Mingyuan than the general public, so he had high expectations for Li Mingyuan. Li Mingyuan nodded and said, Thank you, teacher. I will work hard. Li Mingyuan took a deep breath and made a significant contribution to global warming, then placed his hand on the awakening stone. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Mo Fan, you don't want to. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Li Mingyuan placed his hand on the awakening stone, he felt as if the bell in his spiritual world had moved. In the next second, the bell felt something and began to spin at high speed. As the bell spun, a green starry dust appeared nearby, with 7 stars flickering inside. Blue. That's the wind system. Li Mingyuan suddenly felt a slight toothache. The reason is simple. Because the bell in his spiritual world comes from a magical tool in a game he used to play, a specialized weapon in Scattered Soldiers, and Memories of Toladura, known as the bell. The most important thing is that Scattered Soldiers are male characters in the wind genre, and they are happy wind men who have died. Yes, it's not fame, it's fate. At present, every qualified 5-star-styled man in Tibet has had close relatives die around him. And he, Li Mingyuan, is even more heavyweight. If it weren't for Li Mingyuan crossing over, then the whole family would have died. Come on, this buff is all stacked up, and Happy Wind Man can't run away. The bell was spinning in the spiritual world, and outside, the wind began to rise around Li Mingyuan. The skirts of some female classmates who were close to Li Mingyuan were blown up, and for a moment, the spring light suddenly burst out, ah ah ah. Rogue. Don't even look, everyone be careful. A righteous man began to maintain the scene, although trying to prevent others from looking at the girl, his eyes were extremely dishonest. Not long after, the wind stopped. Li Mingyuan opened his eyes and found that all the girls in class 18 of high school were staring at him intently. If his gaze could kill someone, it is estimated that Li Mingyuan had died hundreds of times. Li Mingyuan was a little flustered by these gazes and said, If you don't understand, what happened? Li Mingyuan didn't ask, it was okay. As soon as he asked, the girl group exploded, just like an explosive magazine was detonated. Dead thug. Do you have any idea what happened? I see through you, Li Mingyuan, you stinky rascal. Girls, with every word you say, I am condemning Li Mingyuan. What's wrong with me, brother Li? It's just a normal awakening of magic. These things are all uncontrollable factors, understand? That's it. It's not a big deal to watch the excitement, but I spilled a bucket of oil at the right time. You are also a group of dead thugs. Soon, there was a quarrel between the men and women, and the whole class was in chaos. Alright, everyone quiet down. Xue Mushing shouted loudly, hurry up and queue up one by one. What's it like to see this place as a vegetable market or a bustling market? Wake up. Xue Mushing has been leading his students for so many years, and this is the first time he has seen such a situation. With Xue Mushing's intervention, the scene finally recovered. Next, Mo Fan. Finally, Class 18 of Grade 11 arrived at the last awakened member, Mo Fan. Except for Li Mingyuan, everyone present was one by one. Seeing Mo Fan awaken to the fire system made one feel envious, jealous, and resentful. And judging from Mo Fan's awakening, his firepower was even stronger than Zhou Min. That is to say, this relationship user who came in through the back door has a great magical talent. This is even more unacceptable. Oh my goodness, someone in the neighboring class has awakened the Thunder series. On the playground, I suddenly heard a student exclaiming and shouting. What? Is there a Thunder type? I'll go, it's good luck after several lifetimes of cultivation. Where, wow, what a cool purple color. The homeroom teacher of class 7 probably was taken aback. Woo, kill me. Why am I from the water system? Why didn't you give me the Thunder system? Don't stop me, I'm going to the rooftop. While everyone was watching the neighboring class awaken the Thunder series, only Li Mingyuan was watching Mo Fan awaken the Thunder series after awakening the Fire series. Mo Fan also noticed that Li Mingyuan was the only one who had realized that he had awakened 2 departments. He quickly made a hissing gesture, gesturing for Li Mingyuan to help him keep it a secret. Li Mingyuan quietly stared at Mo Fan, without saying whether he would help him keep it a secret. This made Mo Fan very panicked. If Li Mingyuan didn't give face and exposed his innate dual lineage, how could he pretend to be shameless and shock the Mu family's old dog in the future? However, in the end, Li Mingyuan still did not expose the fact that Mo Fan was born with dual lineages. But Mo Fan was still very flustered, so after school, he found Li Mingyuan and smiled shyly. Mingyuan, how can we say that we are all classmates in middle school? High school is still the same class. Can you help me hide the fact that I was born with dual majors? Oh. Why should I help you hide it? Is there any benefit for me after hiding it for you? Li Mingyuan looked at Mo Fan and said nonchalantly. Mo Fan suddenly felt a bit toothache. To be honest, he could guess that Li Mingyuan would benefit from this kind of thing. But he really didn't know what he could give Li Mingyuan, so Mo Fan prepared to showcase his traditional artistic abilities. Subsequently, Mo Fan said with a contemptuous expression, "Do you think that I am born with dual lineages, or thunder fire dual lineages? The future is limitless. So, this time, let's treat me as my younger brother and owe you a favor. How about that? Okay, just treat it as if you owe me a favor, and I'll use yours in the future." Li Mingyuan doesn't mind Mo Fan being such an empty-handed white wolf, because Mo Fan is famous for his lecture style. Saying that you owe me a favor is really a favor, not just a joke. It's Mo Fan's turn not to know these things anymore. Even so, he didn't expect to succeed. As a result, I just casually owed someone a favor. Damn it. Mo Fan, remember to call me Big Brother when you see me in the future, otherwise. Li Mingyuan approached Mo Fan's ear and said, "Mo Fan, you don't want anyone to know about your innate dual lineage, do you? Damn it, you bastard. You've watched too many movies from childhood, haven't you?" Mo Fan cursed. However, after a less intense ideological struggle, Mo Fan said, "As long as you can promise not to say anything before I expose myself, it's easy to say anything." "I'm joking, brother. I'm not the kind of person who can reveal people's secrets, so I'll definitely help you keep it a secret, don't you think, brother?" Li Mingyuan patted Mo Fan's shoulder, looking like a good big brother. "Ah yes, Big Brother is right." Mo Fan gritted his teeth. Looking at Mo Fan's expression, Li Mingyuan felt relieved and said, "That's it then. I'll withdraw first." Li Mingyuan achieved his goal and left without looking back. Mo Fan looked at the back of Li Mingyuan's departure and felt as if he had been deceived, but he had no evidence. Forget it, take a cheap guy. If you can pit some resources on him, it won't be a loss. Mo Fan didn't mind either. End of this chapter. Chapter 3, Third Happy Style Mail. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, Li Mingyuan hurried back home in a hurry. His home is located in a relatively suburban area, surrounded by mountains, and when you go outside, it's basically the wilderness. For Li Mingyuan, that is a good place for cultivation and training. The reason why Li Mingyuan rushed home so quickly was because when he woke up, in addition to the bell being able to move, there were also 5 talent bubbles around the wind star dust that needed to be felt and tested. After putting down his things at home, Li Mingyuan ran to a deserted place on the mountain. With a movement of his mind and a wave of his big hand, a bell appeared on his hand, reminiscent of Telegula. Looking at the bell floating in his hand, Li Mingyuan chuckled and said, "As expected, it must be you who brought me into this world." As he spoke, a panel of memories of Telegula appeared in Li Mingyuan's heart, as shown in the picture. Please ignore the basic attack power and explosive damage on the panel. This bell is a fully refined bell, but its level is level 1, and its white attack power and critical damage have disappeared. Instead, it will be a very direct and rough damage adding panel in the future. Roughly speaking, the initial level has a 50% overlap rate, which can be increased by 50% for every 10 levels, and by 45% for every 90 levels. Translated as the multiplier level of a full-time mage, it means that when the bell is at level 1, the magic damage increases by half. When the bell is at full level, it can increase Li Mingyuan's magic damage by 5 times, directly chasing the soul seed. Adding passive attack speed and attacks, and so on, for Li Mingyuan, that is a safe artifact. The bell was retracted, and Li Mingyuan plunged his spiritual power into his own starry dust. There are a total of 5 talent bubbles around Xingqian, corresponding to the remaining 5 talents of scattered soldiers besides life talents. Among them, only the first of the 5 talent bubbles is lit up, talent normal attack banner striking string. Normal attack. Consume magic energy equivalent to a standard unit, i.e., 1 wind tracks magic energy. In mid-level it is a wind disc, in higher level super levels, and so on, release wind blades, and perform up to 3 stages of attacks, dealing wind element damage. Heavy Strike. Consumes 30% more magic energy than regular attacks. After a brief chant, it condenses a high pressure aura in front of it, causing damage within the range of wind elements. Falling Attack. Concentrate wind element energy, consume 1 standard unit of magic energy, fall from the air and impact the ground, attack enemies on the falling path, and deal wind element range damage on landing. It is important to note that there are levels for regular attacks such as the flag and string of the banner. To coordinate into a game panel is Cultivation. Wind type first level weapon. Memories of Telegula, level 1, talent 1. Normal attack. Flag striking strings, level 1, talent 2. Elemental warfare skills, feather painting, and frenzy hewage, unlocked, talent 3. Elemental explosion, madness, style music 5th fantasy, unlocked, talent 4. Picking up jade and getting flowers, unlocked, talent 5. Dream trail wind, unlocked. Li Mingyuan's mind twitched as a bell appeared on his side, followed by a concentrated pure wind element ball in his hand. He has a feeling that after unlocking the talent bubble, he seems to be born with this magic, which can be released directly by bypassing the stars. Li Mingyuan waved his hands, and a total of 4 wind blades were thrown out of Li Mingyuan's hands in 3 rounds of general attacks. Shua. 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 The wind blade fell on the tree, directly cutting off a thigh-thick tree, and the bushes behind were also cut. Li Mingyuan stepped forward to inspect the cuts in the big trees and shrubs. The cut of the big tree is very smooth to the touch, and the branches and leaves of the shrubs are also cut very smoothly. Those who know say it was Li Mingyuan using a wind blade to cut and attack, while those who don't think it was cut with an electric saw. Oh my, the sharpness is good. Li Mingyuan touched his chin in a slight shock. The original owner's family members were all wizards, so Li Mingyuan knew how strong the damage of normal beginner magic was. It is obvious that this set of wind blades has a significantly stronger power than regular first-level magic, but it is not as powerful as second-level magic, with an output to magic of 1.5. I've tried the general attack, give it a try. Li Mingyuan took a liking to a relatively large shrub next to him, condensed the wind element ball inside the shrub, and then raised his hand upwards. A wind farm with a radius exceeding 2 meters was pulled up in place, and countless leaves were raised. Then, under the action of the wind, the leaves were instantly ground into powder. And those branches are not much better, they are basically shattered by the manic wind elements before they even fly. Seeing the power of the heavy blow, Li Mingyuan felt a bit disappointed because the power demonstrated by it seemed to be weaker than the output to magic at the same level. Fortunately, this is a group attack magic, and a slight weakness in its power is a weakness. After all, Li Mingyuan did not actively use the bell to amplify his magic during this experiment, but relied on his magical strength when he first awakened. Li Mingyuan has reason to believe that after practicing for a period of time and gaining a certain understanding of magic, the power of the flag and string will become stronger. After a simple experiment with magic, Li Mingyuan simply relied on the amplification of the bell to consume all of his remaining magical energy in one breath, with no remaining. After consumption, Li Mingyuan returned to his own home. Although Li Mingyuan's home is a bit remote, at least it is a 2-story building with a small courtyard. After all, the original owner's family are all powerful mages, and the place they live in is not bad. After returning home, Li Mingyuan took out a necklace from a hidden compartment in his room. This necklace is a star-dust magic tool, a mortal-level star-dust magic tool. This star-dust magic tool was left by the elder brother of the original owner. Li Mingyuan was just about to put on the stardust magic tool when he suddenly felt that it seemed to be light and then as if something had been lost. Li Mingyuan suddenly felt something was wrong and quickly used his mind to probe into the star-dust magic weapon. Due to Li Mingyuan being a time traveler, his mental strength is slightly stronger than that of an ordinary person. However, when Li Mingyuan probed into the star dust magic weapon, he found that it did not react much. Li Mingyuan, who had read the original work, suddenly thought of something and then took the bell out of his spiritual world to explore his spiritual power for observation. "Oh, I didn't expect your bell to have this effect, it's pretty good." Li Mingyuan rubbed the outer wall of the bell with his hand, and he laughed so hard. Obviously, this bell, like Mo Fan's little loach pendant, can absorb the essence and soul inside the stardust magic weapon, and then transform itself into a prop that can assist in cultivation. As for whether there will be any other special abilities, it depends on Li Mingyuan's own discovery. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Cultivation Plan, Revised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After returning home, Li Mingyuan sat in his study and began to ponder carefully. Now he has officially entered the plot of Bo City, and currently there are several important time points. The first one is a year later wilderness training. In the original work, Mo Fan performed exceptionally well during the wilderness training, entering the Eye of the Sky slaying technique. But correspondingly, he was also targeted by Bai Yang, the lackey of the Black Church. The second one is the disappearance of a student from the Inscription Girls' High School. Li Mingyuan, who knew the plot, naturally knew that it was because of the Black Church experiment that a demon entered the realm and ate the female student, but he didn't quite remember the specific time. The third one is the duel between Mo Fan and Yuang 3 years later. After this duel ends, it marks the death knell of Bo City. In Li Mingyuan's eyes, these three events are closely related to Mo Fan. If he were to blindly participate, he might also follow Mo Fan into the sight of some people. So Li Mingyuan has set himself a very important policy. To be indecent and develop, don't be reckless. Why? Because the opponent is too strong, one must develop a certain level of self-protection ability in a limited amount of time and maintain a low profile. It's hard to say how far it is, at least don't catch the attention of the Mu family in Wucheng. Otherwise, the so-called Hujin Grand Deacon Mu He old dog hidden in the Mu family would not let a talented person grow up. So Li Mingyuan developed a complete cultivation plan for himself, a set of practical combos centered around the Hanban Mingxian, regular attack, and wind track. For example, making the wind blade hit the same target in the wind track state, hitting a moving target in the wind track state, and so on. After the plan was formulated, Li Mingyuan took out his phone and dialed a call. "Hey, who is that? Let's talk about it." The voice on the other end of the phone was very loud, full of confidence, and there was a hint of impatience in the tone. "Uncle Zhong, is me, Li Mingyuan." "Oh, it's Xiao Yuan." Upon hearing Li Mingyuan's voice, Uncle Zhong's voice softened a bit and he didn't get impatient. "I heard that your school held a awakening ceremony today, awakening." "That's right." Li Mingyuan didn't hide it either. He awakened the wind system. "The wind system is good, the wind system." Uncle Zhong smiled and said, "Okay, according to the agreement back then, all the hundreds of thousands of pension funds left by your family will be exchanged for wind resources." "Yes, replace everything." Li Mingyuan didn't hesitate. Are you sure you want to save some for yourself?" Compared to Li Mingyuan, who was decisive, Uncle Zhong hesitated a bit. "Xiao Yuan, this is hundreds of thousands. How many people can't make a profit in their lifetime? I don't object to you exchanging resources, but why not listen to my uncle's advice, save some for yourself, and then spend some money to move their student status out of my place? Wucheng is too small, with a poor cultivation environment and few strong individuals, and even fewer resources. Your brother can become a mid-level mage in Wucheng, and I feel that your talent is at least not weaker than your brother's. In the future, you will be at least a mid-level mage. After 3 years in Wucheng, I'm afraid." This Uncle Zhong was a former comrade in arms of Li Mingyuan's parents. He retired from the military camp a few years ago and went to a neighboring city for business. And Li Mingyuan is responsible for the operation and management of a large amount of compensation for the deaths of his parents and brother in battle. This money was not voluntarily managed by Uncle Zhong by Li Mingyuan, but was entrusted by the older brother of the original owner. However, this Uncle Zhong is trustworthy. Li Mingyuan has been dealing with Uncle Zhong for the past few years, and at least Uncle Zhong will not deceive him in terms of money. Previously, Li Mingyuan suspected that Uncle Zhong would cheat him, so he called Uncle Zhong and said he needed a large amount of money. Uncle Zhong did not hesitate to withdraw all the money saved by Li Mingyuan's family and give it to him. Never mind, hundreds of thousands of resources are enough for me to spend for 3 years. Transferring my enrollment to another place doesn't interest me much. Li Mingyuan politely declined Uncle Zhong's offer once again. Over the years, Uncle Zhong often advised Li Mingyuan to leave Bucheng and go to another place to study. Okay, anyway, if you think so, Uncle Zhong will find someone to send the resources to you later, which will take about a week. After all, it's a cultivation resource, and preparing it is always more difficult than raising cash. By the way, Uncle Zhong, if you have enough money, please help me collect a Stardust magic weapon. The quality doesn't matter, just use some. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it for you. Then please trouble Uncle Zhong. It's okay, practice hard and strive to be admitted to universities in the future. I will. After giving Li Mingyuan a few words of encouragement, Uncle Zhong hung up the phone. After the resource issue was resolved, Li Mingyuan began his own cultivation plan. Due to the existence of the bell, Li Mingyuan spends 20% more time practicing every day than his classmates. In Bucheng, there are almost no high school students like him who practice with Stardust magic tools every day. Even people from the Mu family, as far as Li Mingyuan knows, have to take turns using them. Uncle Zhong's resources were sent over later, and he actually received a second-hand mortal level Stardust magic tool for Li Mingyuan, but the quality was a bit inferior. Li Mingyuan didn't mind either. He used a bell to absorb the energy of the second-hand mortal level Stardust magic tool, so he obtained a Stardust magic tool that was better than the mortal level Stardust magic tool. After 6 months of cultivation, Li Mingyuan is now able to master 6 stars, averaging 1 star per month. This speed can be considered very fast. After all, it is practiced every day while holding the Stardust magic tool. But to be honest, Li Mingyuan is still a bit dissatisfied. According to his own estimation, he will need more than 2.5 months to have the chance to master the last star. Although this speed is likely to be faster than another top-tier Tianjiao Muningshue in Bucheng. At this point, Mo Fan next door was able to successfully release thunder magic, and now he even practices fire magic while practicing thunder magic. I hold a Stardust magic tool to assist myself, and I also have a resource that is not as fast as Mo Fan's cultivation speed. It's really more popular than people. However, no matter how dissatisfied Li Mingyuan is, one must admit that in this world, Mo Fan is undoubtedly the sun of the world, and his fast cultivation speed is certain. Li Mingyuan's biggest advantage is knowing how to plot the future. There are some things he can prepare in advance and find opportunities to make a profit. Similarly, the Wind Blade has given Li Mingyuan combat power that does not belong to this stage. If the opportunity is suitable in the future, Li Mingyuan will choose to hunt monsters. As for whether he can be stronger than Mo Fan in the future, to be honest, Li Mingyuan can't say for sure, he can only say hard work. If you don't work hard enough to make up for it, if you don't die, you'll end up curling up in death. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Dirty Things. Beautiful Teacher. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Understood and verbose. After school that day, Li Mingyuan had just returned home to start practicing when he suddenly heard something coming from the yard at home. What kind of person? Li Mingyuan looked towards the place where there was movement and instinctively shouted out. Then I seemed to realize that this was a magical world, and if there was anything there, it was likely a demon rather than a human. Thinking of this, Li Mingyuan had a manic wind element ball in his hand, and the heavy blow was already pinched in his hand. Click. A crisp sound emanated from the courtyard wall. The wind is rising. Li Mingyuan was very decisive and released a heavy blow at the location where the sound was coming from. Squeak, squeak. On the wall outside the courtyard, a mouse the size of an air conditioner was pulled up into the sky. I'll test your horse to death. I can't fix Li Mingyuan now. Damn it, how could there be such a damn big mouse in my house? Thinking to himself, Li Mingyuan was not idle in his hands. He raised 2 wind blades and effortlessly beheaded this big mouse. After confirming that the mouse was dead, Li Mingyuan put on a mask and gloves and went forward to inspect the mouse's body. As soon as he walked over, Li Mingyuan felt that a residual soul had been sucked away by the bell. This mouse, is it already a demon? This left Li Mingyuan confused. At the beginning, Li Mingyuan actually suspected that this big mouse was not a demon. The legitimate demon was not so weak, so he casually eliminated it. Generally speaking, the most popular servant-level demons are against a standard beginner mage team. So Li Mingyuan suspected that this kind of mouse was a mutant beast, an extraordinary world, and it was normal for some mutant mice to do so. But mutated beasts are always wild beasts, and after death, there will be no spirit or residual spirit. Li Mingyuan once experimented with this in a certain slaughterhouse. Li Mingyuan went forward to slightly examine the corpse of the mouse and found that its eyes were very abnormal, with obvious blood-red color. The claws were also very sharp. Li Mingyuan touched them and felt that the mouse claws had at least the hardness and sharpness of metal. Most importantly, the fur color of this big mouse is abnormal. At the root of the hair, the color is no longer the normal gray, but a slightly blackened blood red. In summary, Li Mingyuan suspected that this mouse should have been just an ordinary mouse, but it mutated into a demon due to something. However, due to various reasons, it could not reach the level of a servant and was stuck in the middle. The pen of the Black Church. Did this mouse accidentally drink from the fountain of mania created by the Black Church and mutate? Li Mingyuan took off his gloves and habitually touched his chin. The first reaction that Li Mingyuan thought of was the Black Church, and the reason was clear. However, Li Mingyuan also understood very well that whether this thing was accidentally created by the Black Church or not, it indicates a problem that Bo City is starting to become restless. The next day, in the school classroom. Good morning, classmates. Your magic practice class even had the teacher sick and resting at home. Starting today, I will be giving you a magic practice class. My name is Tang Yu. A mature and bright voice came in. This Tang Yu teacher is wearing a black professional dress, with a majestic and beautiful mountain peak rising between the black outer suit and the white chest lining inside, ready to emerge. It can be seen that Brother Button has done his best, and if Tang Yu doesn't know what to do, Brother Button is powerless. Early in the morning, it was already the most ferocious time for young people. Being stimulated like this, no serious man could withstand it. Li Mingyuan naturally couldn't resist it either. Tang Yu's figure was so special that it was a foul. Li Mingyuan, who has been involved in various video apps for years in his past life and has read countless women online, must also say that Tang Yu is truly exceptional. It's just that Li Mingyuan is just looking around and doesn't really have any thoughts about Tang Yu. Tang Yu came to Bucheng with a mission in mind, and she herself is a mid-level mage with strong abilities. However, to be honest, Tang Yu's lectures are indeed better than even the old man's. It's definitely not because Tang Yu has a good physique, big brother. What did you say this new teacher grew up on? How come his figure looks hotter and hotter? Mo Fan leaned over to Li Mingyuan and stared at Tang Yu with a cheap expression on his face. This is a good question. While Li Mingyuan was still thinking about how to answer, Tang Yu suddenly turned back. That classmate is talking below. Tang Yu spoke as she looked in the direction of Mo Fan and Li Mingyuan, with a hint of mockery on her face. Li Mingyuan suddenly felt uneasy. Based on the idea of being a friend of the dead and not a poor person, he decisively bought Mo Fan and said, "Teacher Tang Yu, Mo Fan was just asking me. Teacher's figure is so great, what did he eat to grow up?" Hey, don't talk nonsense. Mo Fan became anxious, he didn't expect Li Mingyuan to sell him. Sleeping trough, Mo Fan, you are so brave. Ha ha ha. That's it. In an instant, the class members laughed. As a loyal lackey of Mu Bai, I will definitely not miss this opportunity of mockery. Mo Fan, what's wrong with you? You don't have to work hard every day to cultivate, why do you pay attention to the teacher's figure all day? Can you be a bit impressive? You're almost losing face in our class. What do you mean? Mo Fan was furious. Did I make a mistake? To some extent, Zhao Kunsen was not wrong. Alright, shut up. Tang Yu remained stern and looked very dignified. Give me a good lesson, one or two of you. I don't care what attitude you had towards cultivation before, but from today on, when I took over this class, one or two of you have corrected my attitude. Tang Yu said a few more words, established the rules, and then resumed teaching. As for Mo Fan, he stood proudly beside the podium and became a teaching assistant. All morning is a magic practice class. After finishing the theory class, Tang Yu will take everyone to the playground and personally demonstrate the elements of magic release to everyone. As a teaching assistant in a class, Mo Fan listened very attentively, but there was one thing Mo Fan didn't quite understand, which was why Tang Yu's button brother on her chest was so resistant and so firm. The playground of Magic High School is not used for radio gymnastics, but rather as a training ground for students. They are divided into several independent spaces by the magic cover, and all the leaked energy is absorbed by the cover to prevent accidental injury to students who have no defense ability. After arriving at the playground, Li Mingyuan also became serious. Although he has a general understanding of his magical power, he has not yet seen the magical power of excellent mages very intuitively. And Tang Yu, as an object of observation and reference power, is very suitable. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Intuitive Experience of Magic Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone is optimistic. Today, I will show you the beginner magic of fire. Fire Z. Teacher Tang Yu stood in the middle of the class. The entire class automatically formed a half-arc and dispersed behind Teacher Tang Yu. It is uncertain whether everyone is watching Teacher Tang Yu's starting ceremony or her figure. At this moment, Tang Yu was still standing in a very straight posture, with her graceful curves outlined in the slightly narrow dress, which was particularly attractive. Perhaps it was because she had just started teaching and her clothing choices were too hasty that it was like this, but it made the students feast their eyes. Be calm, and focused. Even if I'm talking to you now, my mind is completely focused on my fire nebula. Oh, in the starry dust, said Teacher Tang Yu. Nebula. The mid-level mage hasn't run away. Li Mingyuan thought to himself this way. Control, at this moment you are the caller, let your star follow your instructions and open the door of fire magic energy for you. Tang Yu's voice suddenly changed from soft before to solemn, even with a hint of pride that everything will be burned in front of her. Remember, after completing the arrangement of stars, you must not relax your spirit and immediately lock in the position where you release. That majestic voice came once again. Fire. Burning. A prominent star trajectory appeared around Teacher Tang Yu, and after flashing around her, it quickly condensed onto her fair and jade right hand. The flame flew out like an arrow, startling a crimson beauty in the air, and then accurately penetrated the puppet's body like a bullet. Is it gone? Why hasn't there been any movement? I clearly hit it. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent for a second, and the puppet hit by the fire showed no response, which was in stark contrast to the momentum released by Teacher Tang Yu. Suddenly, a startling crimson rose within the puppet's body, not a slow ignition, but a wild dance, as if to burn everything that could be burned in one breath. The intact humanoid puppet just now was instantly engulfed by a crimson flame. Looking at the students with a dull expression, Tang Yu's face showed a smile similar to that of the Dragon King, saying, "Study hard and look good. In the future, practice hard. With just this bit of power, maybe everyone can unleash it. Alright, let me remember who the fire department students are in our class." Teacher Tang Yu seemed to take the admiring gaze of these students as a normal thing and continued to teach her lessons. Write down the only few fire mages in the class. I have heard from your homeroom teacher, Teacher Shui, about the importance of annual assessment. Firstly, students who fail will be asked to leave the school, and secondly, students with excellent and average grades will be divided into classes. Those who are assigned to the top class will receive a certain amount of love and resource allocation, which will give you a greater advantage in taking the entrance exam to the University of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Therefore, there is no reason for everyone to not work hard this semester, Tang Yu said to everyone. Teacher Tang Yu, will you teach everyone in the top class? A male student asked. Well, no surprise, I will be the practical teacher of the top class after teaching you. Tang Yu nodded slightly. Teacher, I'm Yang Guo. Oh, I'll definitely double my efforts, Huang Feifeng. Teacher Tang Yu, I will also hang out with you in the future. Tang Yu maintained a gentle smile, indicating that her first lesson today was quite successful, and the enthusiasm of the students for learning was boosted. By the way, if any of you can already fully control the 7 stars, you can also come to me privately. I will allocate personal time to provide you with further guidance, Tang Yu continued. 7 stars have suddenly become the goal of everyone's struggle. Skip the class members sharing and controlling the number of stars here. If there's nothing else, let's finish class first. If there's anything you don't understand, you can come to me. Teacher Tang Yu quickly announced the end of class. After everyone had walked around, Li Mingyuan found Teacher Tang Yu. Do you have anything to do? Teacher Tang Yu had a slight impression of Li Mingyuan. What Teacher Tang Yu just released shouldn't beat Fire Zishao, right? Li Mingyuan asked. In fact, Li Mingyuan clearly remembers the original work saying that Teacher Tang Yu was classified as a second-level fire magic. Yeah, what I did was not Fire Zishao, but Fire Zishao. You're not a fire mage, how did you tell? Teacher Tang Yu was a bit curious. There used to be a fire mage in my family, and I have some impression of the power of fire magic. Is this the martyr's family? Tang Yu had some understanding of the background of the students in this class before taking up her position. So what do you have to do? Tang Yu was a bit unsure of what Li Mingyuan wanted to do. I want to face the true power of the fire magic, fire. Burning. This idea has been in Li Mingyuan's mind since the beginning of class. He needs to face the same level of output magic directly in order to accurately judge the current true power of the traveling banner Mingxian, ordinary attack. Okay, I'll fulfill you. This is not an excessive request for Tang Yu. Li Mingyuan consciously walked to the position 1 meter next to the humanoid puppet, waiting for Tang Yu's magic. Standing so close, aren't you afraid that I might accidentally hurt you? Tang Yu looked at Li Mingyuan's position and said. Teacher Tang Yu is a mid-level mage, and I believe in her strength. Li Mingyuan said confidently. This child is a bit different. I just made a slip of the tongue once, and now I know that my strength is extraordinary. At present, this child's observation ability is better than other children, it seems like a good seedling. Thinking about it, the process is the same as before, but the release speed is much faster than just now. Fire. Burning. The fire hit the humanoid puppet and instantly ignited a raging fire. The firelight shone on Li Mingyuan's face, and the blazing flames roasted his face, making the young man's face hot. After more than 10 seconds, the flames dissipated, leaving only a pile of ashes on the ground. Ordinary attacks are not easy to compare, but with a heavy blow, Li Mingyuan feels that his heavy blow power is slightly stronger than this level 1 fire, but not much. How about you feel the power intuitively? I feel it, it's still very strong. Li Mingyuan nodded. Even the first level Fire Z had stronger power in Tang Yu's hands than even the old man's Fire Z. After all, even the old man's fire is like a small flame, and Li Mingyuan dare not use this powerful fire as a reference. Perhaps this is a mid-level mage. Then practice well, one day you can also unleash this kind of powerful magic. Teacher Tang Yu encouraged Li Mingyuan. I will do it. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Annual Assessment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The annual assessment has finally arrived. For many people, today is a nightmare because they may be expelled from the school. These people are actually the most tragic and shameless to go back to see their parents. But learning magic is not a child's play. This system applies to any magic high school. Those who are not suitable for learning magic will be invited out as soon as possible, so that they can find another way out and not waste their time in the endless sea of magic. For those students who work hard and tirelessly, today is a day to prove themselves, especially for those individual top students who can already apply their skills. But today's annual assessment is different from previous years, because Mu Ningxue, who is known as the first delicate girl of Bo City, came to Tianlan Magic High School to attend the ceremony. The annual assessment is really simple, just like the awakening at the ceremony. Students just need to place their palms on this huge star-sensing stone, and the examiners can immediately judge the students' cultivation achievements for the year based on the brightness of the star-sensing stone. Just like the college entrance examination, the fate of students is likely to be determined by this piece of paper. In this world, there are also the same hard indicators. Either continue to study, get better opportunities, or leave the school to find a new way out. Soon, the 3 school leaders and examiners finally arrived. Examiners are basically from the political and educational department, responsible for discipline. Ordinary students are most afraid to see them. Alright, be quiet. Today's annual assessment will be inspected by several school board members, hoping that you can demonstrate your spirit as a magician. Shui Mushing reminded these students. Examiners were all in place, with 30 new classes and 1,500 people wearing the uniforms of Tianlan Magic High School, standing on the training playground in a spectacular manner, arranged into piles of Q blocks. Before the assessment, it is natural for the principal to give a speech, which is done every year. Subsequently, the school board delivered a speech. Watching Mu He passionately depict the bright future of a magician to the students on stage, Li Mingyuan felt a wave of disdain in his heart. If it weren't for his current weak strength, Li Mingyuan would really want to tear Mu He's mouth apart as soon as possible. Then Mu Ningxue symbolically said a few words on stage, and the annual assessment officially began. The annual assessment officially begins. 20 classes in the whole school are held simultaneously. The first one, Li Mingyuan. If Li Mingyuan remembers correctly, the first person to undergo an annual assessment in the original work was Hiyu, the girl who died in front of Zhang Xiaoho in the butching incident and then made Zhang Xiaoho work hard to cultivate. But now it is oneself who is the first to be assessed. However, Li Mingyuan doesn't care either. For Li Mingyuan, assessing such things means coming early and enjoying them early, there is no need to wait later. The testing process is actually very simple. In front of everyone's eyes, place your hand on the star-sense stone under the gaze of the examiner, and focus on entering the meditation. At this time, the star-sense stone will emit the same light based on the strength of the test person's star-dust radiance, and judge the level of cultivation through the light. Each student has 3 opportunities, with the most shining one as their grade. Of course, the more focused a student is, the more realistic the sensing stone can be to show the strength of the student's stardust. We can start now, said the bald examiner. Li Mingyuan, come on, just play to the level you should have. Class teacher Shui Mushing patted Li Mingyuan's shoulder. Li Mingyuan's role in the class is completely different from Mo Fan's. In everyone's eyes, Mo Fan is considered a person with talent but does not cultivate, while Li Mingyuan is a person with some talent but takes cultivation seriously. I will do it. After speaking, Li Mingyuan took a deep breath and then placed his hand on the star-sensing stone. The whole class suddenly fell silent, their eyes fixed on Li Mingyuan, who was the first to go up for the assessment, and each one looked even more nervous than Li Mingyuan. Gradually, some radiance emanated from the black star-feeling stone. At first, it was like the dawn on the horizon in the early morning. With the impact of Li Mingyuan's spiritual power, this radiance gradually spread to the periphery of the star-feeling stone, almost filling up the radiance. A+, in an instant, the three examiners almost simultaneously reported their results. Classmate, it's okay, your final grade is A+. The bald examiner said expressionlessly. The appearance of A+ results on Li Mingyuan is expected by many people. But only Li Mingyuan knew that this was just a deliberate act of concealment, with the aim of not being noticed by Mu He's old dog. In fact, Li Mingyuan has full confidence in being able to push his assessment score to S. Because the night before, under the accumulation of resources, Li Mingyuan only spent more than 3 months advancing the wind system to the second level of the first level. This is a realm that countless mages in Bucheng will never reach in their lifetime. All ratings will be integrated and synthesized, and then compared with 30 classes. Xue Mushing believes that his class is very likely to win the top 3. And the biggest competitor is class 7 of the neighboring class, with Su Xiaoting, the Thunder-type kid, present. I don't know if he will miss out on their class too much. I hope the most outstanding Mu Bai in his class cannot be inferior to him. Next, do we need to be assessed? The bald examiner looked at Li Mingyuan and asked. Give it a try, I'm not very familiar with the release. Li Mingyuan released the assessment as usual. Although the connection speed was a bit slow, it was still released smoothly and received praise from many teachers. Next to Li Mingyuan is Hiyu, the first one to release magic in the original work. Watching Hiyu's final grade also be A, Xue Mushing felt that he should be stable in the top 3 of his grade this year, and there will be a performance in the year-end award this year looking at one student after another in the assessment. Several of the scores were quite good, and Xue Mushing's lips had turned into a Dragon King smile. Soon, a group of school directors who came to observe arrived. The students of Class 8 couldn't calm down at once. Everyone's fate lies in this year's assessment, and the leadership team that can change their lives with just a approving glance has also come over, which has made the exam atmosphere extremely solemn. Mu He walked at the front, and the bald examiner immediately lifted his head to look into Mu He's eyes. With a hint from Mu He, the bald examiner immediately understood. He pretended not to see anything and said calmly, "Next, Mu Bai." As Mu Bai was preparing to go up, Li Mingyuan walked quietly to Mo Fan's side. Mo Fan saw Li Mingyuan sneaking around and was about to make a loud noise, but Li Mingyuan made a small gesture and gestured, "Wait a moment, pay attention to the examiner and Mu Bai's hands. With the personalities of Mu Bai and Mu He, I suspect they will mess with you here." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Framing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. To be honest, don't be fooled by Mu by following Mo Fan around all day, going through life and death. But during the Bucheng era, at least in Li Mingyuan's eyes, Mu Bai was really not likable. He thought about playing with Mo Fan every day, and it was quite boring to watch too much. As for Zhao Kunsen, he was mainly someone who had been doing well with the Mu family, but was made extremely difficult by Mo Fan. So Zhao Kunsen's teasing of Mo Fan and Li Mingyuan is completely for fun. Okay, I want to see what kind of plane this examiner is going to make. Upon hearing Li Mingyuan's words, Mo Fan also became serious and couldn't be fooled by someone, could he? On the other side, the assessment department. It has been a long time waiting for this year, and Mu Bai took a deep breath. The importance of the family and the gaze of Mu Ningxue have always been a dream for Mu Bai, and today both will come true. Placing his hand on the sensing stone, Mu Bai suppressed his excitement and tried his best. Mu Bai has indeed done a lot of training in this area, even though his mood is more excited and nervous than anyone else at this time. With his proficiency, he still completes good meditation. The white ice ons quickly spread out from the star-sensing stone and were all densely distributed around it. These ice rays are very strong, even overflowing from the starry stone and imprinting on Mu Bai's face. The whole class was a bit lost in thought. Radiance overflows, this is probably the only time they have seen so many assessments, even A++'s Zhou Min is inferior to Mu Bai's radiance overflowing. S. 3 examiners gave their scores immediately, but surprisingly, all of them were S. You should know that Su Xiaoting from Class 7 next door only had 2 S's and 1 A+S awakened from the Lei faction, while Mu Bai surprisingly had 3 S's directly, shocking the vast majority of people present. 3S, the final score is naturally S. This is definitely the top of the school, without a doubt. Grass, Mu Bai took it in his mouth and surprisingly scored 3S, which directly surpassed Su Xiaoting from Class 7 and truly ranked first. I never thought. Mu Bai, you're really amazing. A few girls have already developed a craze for flowers. Mu Bai is handsome and leads the way in performance, he is simply the Prince Charming in their hearts. Mu Bai turned around and walked into the examination room. Mu Baikao has been released. Nonsense, Mu Bai must have already controlled the 7 stars. I'm really looking forward to ice skills. Amidst the chatter, Mu Bai had already fixed his gaze firmly on the humanoid puppet. That's right, the Stardust test is just the foundation, and those with some knowledge know that releasing is the true judgment. Close your eyes and enter the magical power. Mu Bai skillfully connected 7 ice stars into one orbit. Ice Vine. Freeze. His pupils changed color, and as he exhaled his magical breath, he suddenly discovered that the humanoid puppet was covered in white frost. The ice and frost quickly covered the entire humanoid puppet, as if it had been painted with a layer of ice paint, giving it an astonishing appearance. The cold air was rampant and permeated the entire examination room. Not bad, truly deserving of being a descendant of the Mu family, with extraordinary talent. One of the school directors smiled. Where? Not bad. Even Mu Zhuiyun praised Mu Bai. Skipping millions of words of flattery here when Mu Bai came down next, Mo Fan. It's rare for Mo Fan to listen up, but going up is obedient, and after going up, Mo Fan doesn't listen anymore. Mo Fan walked several laps around the star-sensing stone and then carefully checked it several times. Mo Fan, what are you doing? Hurry up the assessment, don't affect the students behind. A examiner frowned slightly and scolded Mo Fan. Don't worry, I'll take a look. As a qualified demon king, how could Mo Fan just listen to this examiner's words? Mo Fan, hurry up, don't affect the classmates behind. Mu Bai's forehead was a little sweaty, nervous, worried that the situation would be exposed. Zhao Kunsen deserves to be Mu Bai's most qualified henchman. What's wrong with Mo Fan you? It's okay to practice passively every day. The assessment still wastes everyone's time. How can you be at ease? Don't you spoil everyone's porridge? Do you think so? Yeah, can we not waste everyone's time? You're right, everyone is queuing up. Don't shout at either of them. Just then, Mo Fan found the dark stone that someone deliberately put here from the star-feeling stone. Who the hell can explain to me what this is? Mo Fan said not to show off what he found, but that he really did not understand what this thing was. This is a dark stone that will absorb some of the light when the star-sense stone emits. In other words, it will make students' grades go from normal to unqualified. Tang Yu is truly a member of the Hangzhou Lingyin Trial Association, and at first glance, she can see the problem. Who put this dark stone? After speaking, Mo Fan turned his gaze to Mu Bai. Currently, it seems that the only person with the motive and ability to commit the crime is Mu Bai, who is the first to do the assessment. Mo Fan looked over, and the others followed Mo Fan's gaze towards Mu Bai. It is well known that Mo Fan and Mu Bai had a conflict, and now many people have suspected Mu Bai's head. Mu Bai was sweating profusely in an instant. This script is not right. Mu Bai, what's going on? Teacher Tang Yu asked in a deep voice. To be honest, Teacher Tang Yu has already guessed that it was Mu Bai's good deed. I don't know. At this moment, Mu Bai could only pretend to be foolish. If he had let the real hammer and dark stone go now, he would not have enjoyed any benefits from the school even if he didn't order him to drop out, and his classmates would deliberately distance themselves from him. Alas, my mind is still not mature enough. He sighed inwardly and then calmly gave a hint to the examiner who had just scolded Mo Fan. After receiving the hint, the examiner walked out and took the initiative to take the blame. I put this hidden stone on me. I wanted to frame Mu Bai and make his grades worse, but I didn't expect the situation to be exposed. The examiner's language is simply full of errors and omissions. Even a primary school student can tell that what he said is false and that he came out to take the blame. By the way, share some firepower with Mu Bai, at least make sure that Mu Bai can pass the evaluation in this school. Someone, take this examiner away and send him to the trial. He quickly cut through the chaos and asked someone to take the examiner away, then said with a dignified tone, the school is a place for teaching and educating people, and no mistakes are allowed. I assure everyone that this is definitely the last time this kind of thing will happen, and it cannot happen again. And in future annual assessments, we will strengthen the supervision of examiners and resolutely prevent such incidents from happening. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Perfect Release. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He is still very skilled in handling the game. Almost all the students in Class 8 were attracted by him, and hardly anyone would suspect Mu Bai. The blame had shifted to the examiner who was taken away. And many people in other classes don't know what happened, but they can all listen to Muhi's words. For a while, Muhi's actions have won over many people's hearts. It gives the impression that the school board member, after discovering that an examiner was trying to frame students, resorted to thunderous means to deal with the examiner and decided to strengthen management in this area. A good school board image that considers students is established. School Director Ing Ming. The school board is very observant. I have this board member at Tianlan Magic High School, why not rise up? Listening to everyone's compliments on Mu-He, Li Mingyuan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. If he knew that Mu-He was the Grand Deacon of the Black Church and had a close relationship with the destruction of Bo City, he hoped you would still think that Mu-He was a good person. With the cooperation of a group of school directors and Mu-He, this matter was exposed as the conclusion that a certain examiner attempted to frame a student. Originally, Mo Fan wanted to make a scene, at least he had to vent his anger first, but Teacher Tang Yu stopped him. If Mo Fan were to get tangled up here at this stage, it would probably not be easy to end. After all, there are still people who need to be assessed. After a simple replacement of the star-sensing stone, Mo Fan began the assessment under the gaze of all the school directors. At this point, the tests of other classes were basically over. Due to some minor issues in the assessment of Class 8, many people gathered around, including the top students from other classes. This time, Mo Fan accidentally became the focus of everyone's attention. Alright, student Mo Fan, you can retest now. Teacher Tang Yu, you have also checked, and there are no problems this time, right? The bald examiner smiled respectfully. No more, Teacher Tang Yu replied. And Mo Fan also carefully checked here for a while, feeling that there were no problems before starting the assessment. The coldness of Shingon stone quickly softened under the transmission of Mo Fan's stardust power. The radiance grew stronger and stronger, and the crimson radiance seemed to burn the entire star-sensing stone from within. This time, the radiance was not suppressed at all, but was completely released. They spread all around the star-sensing stone, and even overflowed. This radiance. The first person to show disbelief was Mu Zhuiyun. The principal, vice principal, director of the political and educational department, and school board members also widened their eyes. Radiance overflows. The homeroom teacher Shui Mushing is completely dumbfounded. After being a teacher for so many years, how could he not understand the overflowing light? It seems that only Mu Bai in the whole school has reached the level of radiance overflow. I don't know why the flames themselves are relatively bright, but the overflowing fire-type radiance is even stronger than Mu Bai's ice-type radiance. My grass! The students from other classes who were watching, as well as the students from Class 8 and our own class, had already been trampled to death by the shocking word, I grass, in their hearts. Radiance overflows, this is really radiance overflowing. A student named Nima, who was almost rated as a mentally disabled scumbag, has reached a state of overflowing brilliance. S. Final score, S. The highest level of the school's test is S, but everyone knows that Mo Fan's Stardust magic ability may be even higher than Mu Bai's. Mo Fan, do you want to continue the test? Of course. Mo Fan smiled slightly. Release, of course Mo Fan needs to take the exam. Isn't practicing magic through hard work just to shine and force others to shine like a little golden fever? Fire. The entire momentum process was incredibly smooth, and Mo Fan was solemn and confident when he recited it. The fervent aura spread wildly from the center of Mo Fan, hitting the cheeks of hundreds of people, with a sharp and spicy feeling. The orbit of the fire star quickly transformed around Mo Fan after completing the arrangement of the star's crimson eyes, hot heart. A cluster of flames surged up in Mo Fan's half-held palm, like an eager beast. Let's go. With a big wave of his hand, the fireball flashed a dazzling red tail in the exam room and accurately penetrated into the humanoid puppet. Get out of here. With his hands raised high, a flame that had been silent for about a second suddenly surged wildly on the puppet. Red in color, the fire grew stronger and stronger, and the raging flames engulfed the entire humanoid puppet in a few seconds. The firelight shone on Mo Fan's cheek, which was smiling with such confidence. This is fire, controlling the power of fire is indescribable. After completing all of this, Mo Fan turned around. One by one, they were dumbfounded. Teachers, students, and leaders, who had not yet recovered from Mo Fan's S.level assessment results, immediately saw Mo Fan's incredibly smooth release of fire. There is no pause, no disharmony, and even the completion speed is faster than Mu Bai. Fire is already more manic than ice in its early stages, so when Mo Fan completes the release of Fire Z, everyone's reaction is 10 times stronger than Mu Bai's Ice Vine. It's not only because of Mo Fan's magnificent transformation, but also because the momentum of fire is even more majestic. And the final result is naturally better than Mu Bai. Mo Fan confessed such achievements, and Mu Zhuiyun also looked down upon them. Although this kid has done things that have made him extremely angry before, after all, he is young and ignorant. After so many years, there is no need to investigate further. It's better to give him some sweetness and let him serve the Mu family. Approaching will definitely not allow him to approach Mu Ningxue. It is not a bad thing to send him to his eldest son Mu Jiangming and cultivate him into an outstanding Fire Clan retainer. But Mu Zhuiyun never expected that Mo Fan didn't care about him at all and didn't even care about the conditions he offered. And he even publicly scolded Mu Zhuiyun, making him unable to step down. After being torn apart like a penny in the original work, Mo Fan still engaged in an arena battle with Yuangli, just like in the original work. To be honest, in Li Mingyuan's eyes, Mo Fan is still too young. If it were him, he would probably first ask Mu Zhuoyun to allocate resources for his own consideration, and then kick Mu Zhuoyun away as soon as he gets the things. If Mu Zhuoyun doesn't give it, it means he doesn't value genius enough, and even worse, it can make him even more shameless. But it's hard to say anything else about Mo Fan's body, just his backbone, that's really not lacking. After watching the fun and finishing the assessment, it should be time to go home for cultivation. If Li Mingyuan remembers correctly, his wilderness training should be after this season. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. War. Yummy Rat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is an unknown small hill near Li Mingyuan's house where there is a bald spot. There were originally quite a few trees in this area, but after Li Mingyuan arrived, I don't know how many trees were brutally attacked by Li Mingyuan, leaving only short and small tree stumps here. And these woods were collected by Li Mingyuan and a simple shed was built for rest. And on that day, Li Mingyuan had just arrived at his special training base. As soon as he arrived, Li Mingyuan noticed something was wrong. Originally, the tree stumps here had flat cuts, but now there are many unknown scratches on them. Li Mingyuan can see from these scratches that the one who left such a smooth cut must be a demon, there is no other possibility. Because apart from demons, it's impossible for any beast to have such sharp claws and enough strength. Even a big black bear cannot have such sharp claws. Rat demon. This answer instantly appeared in Li Mingyuan's mind. The reason is also very simple. In addition to a rat demon that had not yet transformed into a servant appearing in their own yard, the rat demon was also one of the easiest demons to infiltrate the Anjie realm. Since it's a rat demon, there must be a mouse hole nearby. Thinking of this, Li Mingyuan began to search for traces on the ground. Not long after, Li Mingyuan found a pit with a diameter of nearly 2 meters in a relatively hidden location. If not as expected by Li Mingyuan, this pit is likely the one where the rat demon came. Is it the giant-eyed rat? Li Mingyuan recalled the content of the book. In the area of Buchen, the rat demon is a minority, and the giant-eyed rat is the most distributed type. Mainly, adult giant-eyed fishy mice are generally solitary monsters, and their weaknesses are also very obvious. With that big eye, for Li Mingyuan, who currently has displacement and output, he may really be a qualified opponent. But entering the exploration cave is obviously unrealistic. No matter what, Li Mingyuan is still a beginner level 2 mage, at most he is a beginner level 2 mage with both displacement ability and strong ability to deal with single targets. Proactively exploring the cave left by an unknown demon is clearly not something that a mage of his strength should do. So, Li Mingyuan chose a relatively safe method, luring. The way to lure is also very simple, condensing an elemental ball composed only of wind elements is enough. Demons have a strong ability to sense energy, and Li Mingyuan suspects that this giant-eyed fishy rat sensed some residual wind elements in the trees here, which led to its discovery. After making the decision, Li Mingyuan slowly condensed a pure wind element ball and moved it to the tree stump in front of the cave. Li Mingyuan himself was ambushed nearby. After Li Mingyuan was able to release the wind track, he found that his control over the wind element seemed to be a bit strong. Just like just now, he is using the magic energy stored in his own stardust while directly utilizing the wind element in the air. Li Mingyuan can also directly utilize the wind elements in the air to a certain extent when using wind tracks, blades, and wind pressure fields, as discussed in this book, which can save him over 30% of magic energy. And most importantly, the stronger the strength, the more unowned elements can be directly utilized. This will greatly enhance Li Mingyuan's combat endurance. Whispering. After about half an hour, the mouse hole began to move. The giant-eyed fishy rat seemed not to be worried about an ambush nearby, and rushed out of the mouse hole, biting and nibbling on the tree stump near the wind element. The pupils are as big as a basketball, and the tumors all over the eyes rotate, making goosebumps crawl up. And the neck of the giant-eyed fishy rat is as big as the neck of a person holding a thick tree. The neck and head are completely indistinguishable. In short, there is only a basketball-sized eye and a big mouth filled with something unknown in the area of the head. After nibbling on the tree stump for a few bites, the giant-eyed fishy mouse seemed to have noticed a problem. This thing has no energy. Wind blade, chop. Just as the giant-eyed rat was gnawing at the tree stump, Li Mingyuan quickly launched an attack. Gugu. The effect of Li Mingyuan's daily training was unleashed at this moment, with a complete set of 4 wind blades perfectly hitting the giant eye of the bloody rat. The weakness of the giant-eyed fishy rat was hit, causing severe pain. Within a short period of time, it was hit hard by Li Mingyuan. Li Mingyuan did not choose to pursue victory, but instead chose to start on the wind track and engage in tactical positioning. Because who doesn't know whether the big-eyed bloody rat was really hit hard or played a wave? Wind track. Hurt. Li Mingyuan quickly ran up. Wind blade, chop. Once again, the wind blade took action, but the giant-eyed fishy mouse had recovered from its brief rigidity and turned its head to avoid Li Mingyuan's wind blade. When turning its head, the giant-eyed fishy mouse made a brief charge-up movement, and the big-eyed monster's pupils seemed to be condensing something. It could be seen that its basketball pupils were contracting violently. The energy reached its critical point, and in an instant, a crimson light shot out from the monster's pupils. Li Mingyuan quickly intensified the stimulation of the wind element, causing a rapid roll forward. Li Mingyuan narrowly avoided the crimson dark beam released by the giant-eyed fishy mouse. The power of Stardust will to some extent cause changes in the magician's physique. Although this change is not very obvious, it also prevents the magician from being unable to dodge even some obvious attacks. Wind blade, chop. While rolling forward, Li Mingyuan was not idle either. His wind blade condensed in his hand and quickly attacked the giant-eyed fishy mouse. After being released, Li Mingyuan didn't care if he hit or not, but instead used the wind element to maintain a certain level of movement speed. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, the bell appeared in his hand. With the bell in hand, Li Mingyuan's magical power can be increased to a certain extent and his attack speed can be increased. Wind pressure field. This time, Li Mingyuan chose a heavy blow directly. You should know that heavy strikes have a certain ability to control flying, and according to Li Mingyuan's normal magic, it is naturally impossible to fly the giant-eyed fishy mouse. But the bell can inflict half the magic damage on Li Mingyuan, which is enough to fly the giant-eyed fishy rat. The giant-eyed fishy rat was knocked away, although it only flew about 1 meter, this height is enough to release 2 sets of attacks for Li Mingyuan. Wind blade, chop. The wind blades followed one after another, fast and powerful, landing on the giant-eyed fishy mouse with a constant sound of cutting flesh. For a moment, the blood and flesh on the giant-eyed fishy mouse were blurry, looking very embarrassed. End of this chapter.